Good morning, church. So I'll be bringing you our devotional this morning, and it is based on 1 Samuel 17, which is the story of David and Goliath. I've got 2 points to share with you today. Point number 1 is on the doubt that David faced on whether he could conquer Goliath. Most of us would expect the opposition to shout doubt over David. You'd expect Goliath to shout and curse and feel totally disrespected by the fact that these Israelites had sent a boy out to face him. But David was verbally assaulted and totally doubted by those who were meant to be on his side. You see, David didn't conform to the socially constructed expectation that Saul's army had of the person who would be able to conquer Goliath. David's eldest brother said, "What are you doing here? What about those sheep you're supposed to be taking care of?" His family are doubting he should even be at the battle. Saul totally doubted him. He said, "There is no way you can fight him and possibly win. You are only a boy." And this led me to this thought that how many of us are under attack from those people who are meant to be on our side? How many attack and doubt ourselves? You see, most of us don't need help in placing harmful labels on ourselves. We do that just fine on our own. Here are some common ones you may be familiar with. How many of you heard, "I can't," or "I'm not good enough," "I'm too young," "I'm too old," "I'm not loved," "I'm a fraud"? How many of you at one point or another have gone, "I am not good enough to be in the presence of God"? I think I have to all of those. But David walks into the battle and he says to the Philistine, "You come against me with sword, spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcass of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." It's a pretty moving speech, but it is this point that I want us to focus on. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all into our hands. David went into that battle without a thought for the doubt that was thrown at him, because he knew that the battle was the Lord's and it was already won. The labels of "I'm not good enough" or "I'm not loved" are lies. And we need to stop being loyal to the lies that the enemy speak over us and start being faithful to the truths of God, that we are loved and we can go out in the knowledge that the battle is already won. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is, after the battle, David went and took Goliath's sword. And I think this symbolises, I heard it in a preach recently, so I can't take credit for it, but I want to unpack it. You see, David taking Goliath's sword symbolises that today's attack can become tomorrow's advantage. Now I want to unpack this, and I want to use the metaphor of mountains and valleys. The defeat of Goliath is symbolised as David conquering the mountain. And for those that have been to a mountain or even a hill, you'll know that the views can be amazing and they can be breathtaking. But the journey can sometimes feel insurmountable. We may seek false peaks, we may get lost, we may even have to turn back. But when you reach the top, it is with elation that you can look out and take in that view. And church, I would encourage you to take in that view, because it gives you perspective on how far you have come. But we can't stay on the mountain. God doesn't call us to live on the mountain. We have to carry on down to the next valley, because there is no fruit on the mountain. There is no sustenance. There is no resource. The valley is where we grow. And I want to rewind quickly to the months and years before David fought Goliath, because it was in those times that David spent time in the metaphorical valley. He says he fought lions and bears, and he was attacked. And I bet at times it sucked. I don't know about you, but the thought of wrestling a bear for a lamb is not on my bucket list. But it is at that time in the valley where he was attacked that provided the sustenance to hone his skills, give him confidence, experience, and was the advantage that he needed to tackle the mountain. Hopefully I've given you some comfort that time in the valley, while at times can be hard, can help us tackle future mountains. But I would encourage you though, and this is the thought that I want to share with you, is not to focus on yesterday's attack becoming today's advantage, but flip it. Change your perspective. Focus on today's attack becoming tomorrow's advantage, because when you change that perspective and you look at it, you might not see the good in the attack, but you can see the God in it. And when you change that perspective, you know that the battle's the Lord's and it is already won. Church, thank you for listening. And I want to share this with you. Be more like David. Don't be loyal to a lie. You are loved. You've got this. Take care.